I've had a few people ask me lately if you could go back and tell your younger podcast self one thing when you were getting started with solo podcast, what would it be? So today I'm sharing 3 tips for recording your solo podcast. So let's get right to it. Hey y'all, Crystal here today. So like I said in the beginning, I'm going to share with you 3 tips for recording your solo podcast. And these are things that will make your life so much easier. And there's some things that I just wish I would have known from the very beginning of starting my podcast. So first and foremost, you always want to do a test. I literally do this before I start recording anything. I did it before I officially started recording this video here. I will do this if I'm recording on my phone, any equipment that I'm recording on. Always do a test clip. And now I have Hindenburg open, and this is the audio podcast software I've been using. And so I'm actually going to show you what I do. And it's going to look kind of dumb, but I do this every single time. Okay, so I've got my Hindenburg ready to go, and I will literally say, mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2. You don't have to do that, and you don't have to look as dorky as I do dancing, but whenever I'm done, I'll go back and I'll listen to it. Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so everything sounds awesome. So what I would do is I would just go back, delete that, and now I am ready to get started with my podcast and continue recording. The second tip that I have for you is to always save. I know it sounds very basic, but I can't tell you how many people have come to me and said, oh my gosh, I was working on this project forever and then something happened and I didn't even have a work in progress saved of this podcast episode. And I just do this naturally anyway. I'm like a control S, like continually, all the time on my PC, because I get so nervous that I'm going to lose a file. So if I were recording this is me recording my podcast. This is what it would look like. And I'm recording and I'm talking. And then whenever I am done, and I do this from the very beginning. So if this was the introduction of my show and I were to click stop, and I wanted to import things and start adding in my music and my main theme, I would go ahead and click save. So I'm going to click Control S. I'm going to save it here. I'm going to say test episode. And bam, we have a work in progress file that is already ready to go. So I want you to tell me in the comments below, what type of digital audio workstation are you using? So this is a common phrase I see a lot, DAW or DAWs. Like this is like one of those terms where you hear people say it and you're like, what are they actually talking about? Yeah, this is your Hindenburg, Audacity. I call it your podcast editing software because I'm a rebel like that. But I want to know in the comments below, what type of software are you using with your podcast? Because I'm thinking about creating other videos that are catered towards tips for specific software. Okay, let's move on. Now, the last tip I want to share with you is for those of you that are recording, right? I'm going to pretend again that we are recording my podcast and oh my goodness, I lost my train of thought or I said the wrong thing. What do you do to make editing easier for you in the future? Did you think I forgot what to say? No, I was showing you. I was actually giving you a demonstration. You pause for a long period of time because, and I'm going to show you this. Hang on, let's do it again. Okay, so I paused for a lot longer that time, and that's super awkward, right? But the reason why I do this, now I'm going to click stop. If I were to go back and edit this piece of audio, I can see visually where I messed up without actually having to go back and listen to, let's say you had a 30-minute long episode or a 45-minute long episode, or you had an interview, right? Like I know we're talking about solo episodes today, but you could do this also if you have an interview. Pause for a solid 3 to 5 seconds, because if you lose your train of thought and you just kind of switch up real fast, then it's going to be very hard to go back and listen to all of the audio again and find that mistake. So I encourage, this is my third tip, pause whenever you make a mistake in your recording your solo episode. That way I could come in here, I could grab this, I could click split if I wanted to, make this one shorter. There's a lot of different ways to edit. There we go. I cut that one out, or I could come here, click this audio. I could click split again. I could do that, and boom, all of my pauses are gone. Okay. There's a lot of other fancier things that we don't have time for today, because I just wanted to give you those 3 tips on how you can create better sounding solo podcast episodes, because I know you solo podcasters out there, I see you, and I know that you struggle with sounding really good behind the microphone. So anything to make your life easier. So let's do a quick recap. Always do a test clip. Make sure you save your files, and make sure that you are putting pauses if you make mistakes while you're recording, because it will make editing so much easier. But that's all I have for you for this video. If this is your first time tuning in, I would love for you to give us a thumbs up and subscribe below. That way you don't miss any other podcast videos that we put out every single week. Make sure you check out these other videos right here, all about podcasting and running your online business. And as always, remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere.